Hello, everyone. This is Mike Ronchetti, and I'm excited to have a fellow person from Indiana with me, a fellow business owner from Indiana with us today. My guest has a fascinating, exciting background in business marketing, as well as other areas that get her to this point in time where she's doing a lot of communications, a lot of strategy work with people, both profits and nonprofits, and she's really got a credible background. It's my pleasure to welcome Jess, excuse me, Koscher to the show today. Hello, Jess.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Looking forward to this conversation. So as you have yourself in the background a little bit, we were trying to have a nice casual conversation about business and your life and growth in that area. Let's start with your introduction about yourself. Tell me a bit about some personal stories if you want to, like where you're born, where you're living now, what about your family, some hobbies, even talking about that funny story about when you're a kid type of thing if you want to.
Okay, sure. I was born in Seoul, Korea, and adopted when I was 3 months old. Grew up in a small town in northern Indiana called Wakarusa, which stands for knee deep in mud. One at the time, one stoplight in the center of town. I lived 2 miles outside town. Fields on both sides, front and back of my house. Um, and I couldn't wait to leave. So I moved to Chicago when I was 18 and went to school for about a year there. Didn't like, I was studying design, didn't like it, and then moved back to Indiana and got my bachelor's degree at IPFW, which was in Fort Wayne. And then ended up back in Elkhart County and have been here ever since.
Wow. So family situation, do you have family here still in the area or how's that work?
Yep, I have family that lives here. My wife and I live here. She grew up in a small town called LaGrange, Indiana. It has more than one stoplight, but not much. But she was a town kid. She lived downtown, so that was, she just retired. She's a counselor. She's been a counselor for her entire career, and yeah. So we, in fact, just found out today we are buying our first house. We're late bloomers, but she retired, and I run a business out of our apartment, and that does not work so well with two people home all the time. So we're buying a house, and we'll have a little bit more space, which would be great.
Well, also, you're going to pick up some new hobbies.
Yeah, like yeah,
Very much so. Nailing things and all that. How fun,
yeah.
how fun. Great, great. Well, so obviously you have a fascinating business. I want to hear a bit about that as far as it's obviously called Right Connections. Can you tell us a little bit about the business, about, point out some things about how you gain the confidence to start the business and all that? So,
Yes, absolutely. I am probably like some business owners that found myself at a cross in the roads. I had worked in nonprofits for 25 years. I was have a master's degree in nonprofit management. I have certified as a fundraiser. That's like I was the poster child for nonprofits, and ended up I got let go. I had a disagreement with the CEO. They don't like that much, and so I found myself at a crossroads and had no intention of starting a business. And I had some wonderful people in my life, lots of wonderful people in my life that took me aside and said, "Don't go work for somebody else. Start your own business." And so I took about 6 months to think about it and kind of sunk my toe in like a centimeter at a time. Like, at first it was like, maybe I'll think about this. And like, I'm considering it and these sorts of things. But during that time, I got offered some incredible nonprofit jobs and I had to really make a decision, like a paycheck and benefits or this crazy idea of maybe I could be a business owner. And I wrote a business plan. I knew nothing. And I took the business plan to Alan Steele, good friend now, at the Small Business Development Center. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And he looked at my plan and he kind of smiled at me and he's like, "You'll be fine." Like, he just handed it back to me. Like, you'll be fine. So what I had did for my business really is I took a culmination of all of my experiences in nonprofit. I had designed programs. I ended up being the executive vice president of the United Way for a long time. I worked with United Way Worldwide. I'm a fundraiser, and I just took all the strategic services that I had done in the nonprofit sector, along with my dad was a graphic arts teacher, so I've always been around design, and I just kind of threw it all up on the wall and thought, huh, let's 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 put a shingle out and see what happens. We launched October 1st, 2019. The worst time to start a new marketing firm, because what's everybody do when stuff happens? They figure they can do their own marketing. So, we have a global pandemic, and I thought I'm gonna have to go get a job. Like, this experiment was short-lived and did not work. And to my surprise and astonishment, um, we got clients. We got a lot of clients that year. And I think it was because we were strategists. People did not know what to do during that time. They were clueless, and they just needed a thought partner and a messenger to help them get through it. So we spent a lot of time running strategies, talking to businesses about what they needed and how to communicate. Like, at restaurants, it changed daily for restaurants. How do you keep people safe and then articulate to your customers you're keeping people safe? How do you run people in and out of, if you're a dine in and now you're a carry out, how do you do traffic flow? All those things. We helped um, our clients succeed through that. We ended up working with a civic theater, and we ended up helping them figure out how do they raise money and keep in contact with their patrons when they can't fill their theater. And so it was amazing, but it was also really helpful for us to flex our muscles as to what is our customer and how do we help. I mean, we were forced to. It was do that or go get a job.
Yeah. Wow. And yet, at the end of the day, you're here, more healthy than ever. You had the confidence to push through those challenges. That's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. The entire time I've just felt very blessed and just fortunate that what we offer in my firm is received and wanted by others. We are every single client. We've had over probably 250 clients since we founded. We'll celebrate our 5th anniversary this October. And we've been in 9 states. And a lot of it is why my firm's called Right Connections, is I believe success happens when you have the right connections. And it's all been my network. It's been people who I've worked with or knew, or somebody knew me that said, hey, she can help your business or she can help your nonprofit. And it's all happened that way. We don't market. We're terrible at marketing ourselves. We're great at marketing our clients. We're really bad at marketing ourselves.
Well, I think this is an example of how you're getting outside that box, and we're going to help market you by asking people to check out on our link here, the description that we have, as well as the comments about on your LinkedIn activities, this interview itself. Obviously, the company is accessible through URL as well as LinkedIn, so please research that and look at what they're doing for work and as well as their clientele. It's pretty awesome stuff. So let's kind of move on off of that thought. So can you share something about, where you've been pushed or inspired you? What person did it? What person said, hey, that real impact about this? I mean, because oftentimes business owners just don't wake up in the morning like you did and kind of said, what do I do? You mentioned a couple of people in particular. Maybe you want to get a little bit more in depth about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was being ejected from my job, I started making phone calls because the person that fired me was somebody that relished kind of telling their side of the story, and it wasn't always real accurate. So I knew I needed to let people know first that I was out of that organization. And I'm a fundraiser, so my job was connect with people all the time. That's what I did for a decade. And I was absolutely blown away. My calendar filled up. I got let go on a Thursday. By Friday at 1, my calendar was filled with lunch, breakfast, coffee for the next 2 weeks. People just came out of the woodworks and they said, let's talk. I'm going to take you to coffee. and they wanted to talk to me about my next move. They wanted to, they weren't, sometimes you go, oh, they wanted to know the juicy gossip of why you got let go. They didn't. Nobody wanted to talk about that. They're like, what are you going to do next? And 90% of them were saying, start your own business, start your own business. But there were a couple key individuals that really made me take it serious. One was a businessman who's a good friend of mine. And I called him pretty early on in this whole process. And he said, I just landed on a family trip in Africa. We're here for 2 weeks. Don't do anything but start your own business. And I will call you as soon as I get back to the States. And he said, I'm serious. Don't do anything. Don't go get a job. You need to start your own business. I had another colleague that he spent so many hours with me just saying, Jess, you got to start your own business. And I'm like, doing what? Like doing what? And he's like, I don't know, but you need to start your own business. I think all those conversations helped me try to figure out what my product was, because if you look at our firm on paper, it makes zero sense. We're a marketing firm and we are also a strategic consulting firm. And they are not intertwined. Some people go, oh, you do strategic consulting for marketing. No, we do strategic consulting for like strategic plans and executive coaching and helping companies do diversity, equity, and inclusion work and strength finders and all those things, because those are all things I had done in my career, as well as marketing. So it doesn't make sense. I've had people come to me and go, you got to pick one or the other. And I'm like, it's kind of working okay for us to not be doing that. So I would not be where I am if all those people had not reached out and said, let's go talk. So I've made it my passion to, when I hear somebody's been let go, to take them out to lunch and just give them a pep talk, because it's humiliating. And yet for me, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I would never have seen myself in this space ever.
Well, to say that last statement's incredibly humble, because it sure sounds like a lot of people thought you were always that in the heart, as well as had the opportunity to do it, and they just were wishing you forward. So you're smart enough to listen to them. It sounds like you're blessed by that. So that's incredible. So what's your biggest learning as a business owner at this point in time? As you got almost a decade into it.
Yeah, I think for me, it is, I never stop. Like, I never stop. Being a fundraiser taught me to continue to chum the water. Like, you didn't know, like, if you put all your eggs in this one donor's basket and your job depended on getting a gift from them, you're probably not going to last in that industry. It was always talking about what you're doing, always doing what you were doing. And you never knew what the magic sauce was to land the donation. Same thing with business. I just keep my head down and keep doing what we're doing. I never take my foot off the gas. And I think I was trained by my past profession to see it that way. I talk to, and in fact, I do a lot with entrepreneurs, and they're like, if I get here, now I'm going to do this and this and this. And I'm like, keep your head down and do what you do. I do look at growth. I do look at opportunities, but I'm probably not as aggressive about that, because at the end of the day, I want to support me and my crew. I just want us to have a solid business that we're making money and we can do the work we love. And I'm really not interested in taking over the world. I'm not interested in like, are you going to sell? I just started, like, and they'll say, don't work so hard in your business. You should have others do it. I started this business because it was stuff I enjoyed doing. Mm-hmm. So I kind of go contrary to some of the, information and stuff around building a business out there. But I'm successful at the end of the day when everybody that works for me and myself can make a living, support ourselves, and do what we do. And so for me, it's been just keep your head down and keep going. And just keep hustling.
Keep hustling. That's a great motto. Motto, that one. So obviously, you've answered my question about the biggest learning you've had. As far as, let's talk about the fact that success has come along often, but oftentimes there's some bigger ones than there are others. Also, sometimes there are bigger challenges. Obviously, you maybe had a little bit of a roller coaster life here. Can you just describe a roller coaster life situation, as well as possibly that person or two who kind of helped you through it?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember it was after the pandemic, everything was kind of lightening up, and our two biggest accounts left. They went to other places. And I'm looking at the market share that they have of our revenue and our work. And I'm thinking, wow, like 60% of our revenue just left. And I have, as even as a small business, we provide great benefits. Like I have a healthcare policy plan and we pay 80% of premium. And, we have all these things that I'm like, I got to maintain. And I don't know, like, this is bad, right? Um, and I think what happened is we just kept doing the work and we got new clients. And so what it taught me was not to panic when something big leaves and not to waste time worrying about it, but just keep doing the job. Because since then, we've had an ebb and flow. We'll have a client that leaves that's a significant account, but guess what? Then out of the sky falls another one that is maybe even bigger. And so the other thing it's taught me is when we get a great opportunity that's like buckets of money, I don't get real excited about that either. I just kind of have this even keel of like, great, that means we can do what we do longer and do more. But I see people get real super excited because they're like, oh, this was the one we wanted. And now we're on easy street. And I never look at it that way. I'm like, hey, that's great. What's next? Let's just keep doing the work. And I have to trust in doing the work. We're going to have a solid business.
Thank you for that observation. That's beautiful. Solid business, and looking at the fact that you do it through hustle. I like that. So kind of the next question I have is, again, because we're all trying to understand the people in your life as well as realizing this is not a solo business. Anywhere in the world, no one does it alone. They do it with a team of folks, as well as inspiration, as well as guidance. Can you pick three people in your business owner journey that are most grateful for being around you? And if you want to describe them a bit, or details or not, just who they are and how maybe they helped you.
Sure. So Alan Steele at the Small Business Development Center, wonderful guy. I started off with a business partner. It crashed and burned with that business partner pretty early in the business, and he was the first person I called. The Small Business Development Center, which is in the state of Indiana, any small business can go to, has such a wealth of counsel and experience. And I've become very good friends with Alan, but he's just an even keeled sort of guy that can give you, he doesn't tell industry secrets, but he just says, this is how I've seen it happen. And it's just very helpful because it's somebody you can trust to tell your worries, your fears, when something goes bad too. That was great. My friend Amish Shaw, who is the CEO of ChemCrest, which is a manufacturing, he is a good friend and a great counsel. So when I get into a rut or I have a challenge or I'm even thinking about something, he's great. But he also pushes me, which is wonderful. And I have a cousin, my cousin Scott Tuttle. He's a huge entrepreneur. He loves starting things. And where I am, I don't know if you know the BOSI, which is a assessment for entrepreneurs, and there's 4 types of entrepreneurs. I'm the one that's like the specialist. Like I know what I do, and I just want to stay in, and I like to build, but I'm not like an opportunist, which is the people that are like on Shark Tank. They're like, hey, there's something we should grab. That is not me. I am like easy does it, steady and easy. And I think what my cousin Scott and Amish do for me is they push me. They go, Jess, you should be doing more. Have you thought of this? And I will say, no, I want to do that. But it gets in my brain and then I'll start to ease into it. So I think you need people who run businesses that are different than you to push you, that you need that in your community of support. The other thing that I have that I'm really fortunate, I run a boot camp called Hustle SBE. It's run through the South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnership, which is an economic development nonprofit up here. And they have hired me to run this boot camp. So it's a boot camp for women and minority owned businesses that have been in like the 2 to 3 year range of their business. So they know how to do what they do. Like they know how to make tacos and they know how to clean, but they may not know how to build a business. And so I spend 8 weeks with them teaching them all the other things that they look away from. That has created a community of small businesses, small minority and women owned businesses. And it's a great opportunity to build community and talk about the challenges that everybody's facing and help each other. And so I just think for me, because running your own business can be very lonely, like it's just you and you're making all the heavy decisions. And by having that network of small businesses, um, entrepreneurs and business people who are, opportunists that are out there pushing all the time and investing and doing venture capitalism and all the stuff I would never want to do in my tribe. All those people give me a wealth of encouragement, challenges, and and support. And it's a wonderful thing.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's spend the last couple of minutes we have together talking about the future. What do you see in the next 1 to 3 years, the number one growth and challenge you might run into and looking forward to possibly?
Yeah, so I have one full-time person and then I have 7 freelancers because for marketing, it ebbs and flows. So it gives us the opportunity if we get a big job to use more talent and less talent. Um, One of the things that I'd like to see is maybe hiring more full-time that are in the business, but I have to have enough um, jobs that warrant that. Um, and then just being open to what other opportunities there are. 2 years ago or a year ago, we became a distributor for promotional items. That happened out of a tragedy. A good friend of mine who had always done my promotional items for me, even when I was a nonprofit, died unexpectedly. And it left this huge gap for my business. He was also somebody that spent hours with me, just encouraging me. So huge loss for me personally. But also, I had clients that needed t-shirts and promotional items. And when I found out, I talked to another distributor and he goes, "You're doing everything that we do, but you're not getting the commission for it. This is crazy. You should become a vendor." And so we did. And so that's a new stream of business that I would not have sought out, but it kind of there was an opportunity for it. So I'm not really good at going, "Oh, I'm going to go for that." I'm more like, this is my client base and this is something they need. How do I source it? And if it makes sense for us to add it to our uh, portfolio of services, we will. I mean, that's how we got into website hosting. It made more sense for us to host our clients because we're building websites than to go through another host. So that was another income stream that we added. But I don't think I would have went, "We're going to be the biggest, website host there is." It was just something that made sense for us.
Wonderful. Thank you for that reply. So kind of one of my final questions here is I always like to wrap it up with this one. Jim Rome, which happens to be a very, very big, well-known business coach who passed away the last couple of years. He's really a legend in the industry. He said we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Maybe you think about that for a second. As you think about that, what advice do you have with people, business owners who are trying to do it on their own?
You're going to screw up. I mean, my the person I spend the most time with is my spouse, and she's very good at saying to me, "I know you think you know everything and everybody listens to you, but here's what I think." And nobody else in my life does that. So it's like to surround yourself with trusted friends and advisors that you can call on. I have several friends that run their own businesses and have for years, and I will call them all the time and go, "Hey, I have a challenge. What do you think?" So being transparent and a little vulnerable, which a lot of business owners do not want to be. They want to act like they have it all together. Well, I don't have it all together. And I'm going to tell you where I don't have it because maybe you have an idea of how you've done it or to support. So I definitely think you have to have a tribe. You have to have people that support you, that you collaborate with. I have a friend who's in PR. We collaborate all the time because all the stuff she loves to do, I hate to do and all the stuff she hates to do, I love to do. We're great. We both run single organizations, separate organizations. People who don't have that network, Chamber of Commerce. I love being a member of the Chamber of Commerce's. There's so much good stuff there that you can cultivate and they can support you. It's just a lot of the time is not about building the business. It's about stabilizing the business for me and making sure that it is a solid organization. And to do that, I got to have people around me that I trust, that I can call on, and that feel like they can call on me as well. I mean, it's mutual. It's a mutual relationship.
Thank you for that. Kind of a wrap-up question. It sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people who have helped you on this journey. What would you like to say to them?
Well, I send them gifts every year and remind them that I would be fundraising right now if it weren't from them. You know, I never want to minimize how blessed I feel about the support that people gave. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story. I had a friend who was an HR, he's a consultant, and I said, I gotta write a business plan and I gotta do all this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. And he said, hey, my wife has a friend who's a consultant, and I want to introduce you to her. And I met this woman. I can't even remember her name, unfortunately. But we met over coffee, and I said, I don't know how to do any of this. And she said, she had retired. She goes, I have my business plan. I will loan it to you, but it is so old. It's in a 3-ring binder. And I mean, it was in a huge 3-ring binder. She lent me her original copy, and I looked through it and I learned from it, and I met her when I was done on she was shopping with a friend. I met her on the sidewalk and gave it back. I mean, that's the kind of support I got, and it still humbles me that people who I didn't even know spent time out of their day to sit down and talk to me about their own journey, what they felt like my opportunities were, and just to support me. Like, how does that I worked in nonprofits where we saved lives, right? And I had not felt the support or love that I did from this incredible community of when I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But you had to be vulnerable, and receive it. So I've made it my passion to do that for other people as well, because it meant so much to me. I would not be here without all those conversations and all those people reaching out. I mean, it's humbling. I can't even articulate how special that was to me.
Wow. Jess, that kind of is a wrap up of our interview conversation here today. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for very much for being on my show. And again, sounds like your company's got a great trajectory and growth opportunity, as much as you want it to be, as well as where you want it to be with your friends, as well as your colleagues and your professional clients. So thank you once again.
Thank you. It was a wonderful opportunity to talk to you.